Okay, in this video I'm going to show how we can take a markup DWIF and load it into this drawing so that we can make the changes that we need. I've already made two other videos. One was how to publish a DWIF, one was how to edit a DWIF in Design Review, and now this one is going to be taking that edited DWIF and putting it into your drawing. So I'm back in my original drawing. I'm going to go to the Home tab. I actually need my pull-down menu up here. It's the easiest way to do it. So I don't have my pull-down menu, so I'm going to click on this Quick Access toolbar up here. I'm going to click here and just say Show Menu Bar. And now I get all my pull-downs. And I'm going to say File, Load Markup Set. I'm going to get my red-lined bracket. And I'll say open. Doesn't look like anything happened. All it really seems like it happened was a palette opened up over here. But this palette, I can see my redlined bracket. If I expand, click on that little plus sign here to expand it. If you double click on the first comment, all of those comments that were in the DWIF are now overlaid into this drawing. So I can come in here. I can't actually touch them. There's not like it's not mine to touch. It's just kind of an electronic visual overlay. When you're doing this, it is really important that when you click in here, make sure your viewport is locked, because if it wasn't locked and you scrolled or zoomed or panned or anything like that, your drawing won't line up with the original markups that we did. But I can come in here and say, oh, center this dimension. All right, well, I'll click on that dimension, grab it by the grip, and I'm going to move it to right here. That's good. I've centered this dimension now. When I'm done with that, I'll come over here. Let's kind of expand this a little bit so we can see it. That, center the dimension. I'm done with that. So I'm going to come over here. There's two ways you can do this. You can go to Markup Status, pull it down, and put a little check mark. And it says done, so it's nice. This is kind of the equivalent of grabbing a highlighter and highlighting things as you finish them. This is just a little checklist, like, oh, did this one, did that one. Another one that you can do is come over here. Instead of looking down here, you can right-click Markup Status and mark it done. Now there is a way to come in here and pull this one down, and you can say question. You put a little question mark on it. If you put a little question mark on it, you could come in here and type your comment under notes. But the problem with doing this in a classroom setting is once you get your red lines and you send it back, you're going to go to grade for that. So this is not the time to comment or make comments to ask your questions in a DWIF format. If you have a question, ask your instructor before you submit this project back to them. But if we were to just come in here and mark it up and make everything done, unfortunately you can't really select all and say done. But let's just say we've done all of these for review. This is done. Just coming in here. So this is how you're going to be able to mark up your DWIF, mark up your drawing. Make the changes to your drawing based on the DWIF, the red line that you got back. So when you're done with this, you can come in here and we are going to republish all sheets. Republish all markup sheets, or just the sheets that you had marked up. We just always do all sheets. So there's only one sheet in this DWIF, but republish all sheets. And we'll call it redline bracket corrections, let's say. Select. And there you go. It actually made a new DWIF, and I'll show you what that looks like whenever it's done publishing. But yeah, we'll just wait for it to finish publishing. So that's one way that you can do it. There's a few different ways. If you don't feel comfortable with this and you don't really like having it kind of clutter up your screen, or you don't like seeing it loaded here, you are welcome to, if you have two monitors, it's nice to put the DWIF, the marked up DWIF on one side, on one monitor, have AutoCAD on the other side. Some students like to actually print that markup. It just feels good for some students to have a printed piece of paper. So if you have a printer at home, you can print this out and look at the markups just like you would if your instructor had just given you back a red line. And you can get your little highlighter out and highlight things as you go and make the changes. This is not the only way that you can do it. This is just showing you how powerful a DWIF can be. When you're done, you're going to send back that redlined completed DWIF. So I'm going to come back to my documents, and here's the third DWIF. So we made the first one, your instructor redlined it, sent that back to you. You've made your corrections to that red line. This is the file that you're going to send to your instructor. So it's really easy to accidentally attach the wrong file. Be sure that you're sending the correct file when you send things back and forth with your instructor. You cannot send a DWG file. An instructor cannot mark up a DWG file. It has to be a DWF, and also make sure that it's the correct version of that DWF that you're sending, so the latest version. I want to open this up and just show you what it is that you would be sending back if you chose to do it this way, where you load your markups in. Just double click on that. I'll wait for it to load. Remember how we highlighted things and I marked it as done? I put a little check mark next to these. It literally goes in and highlights it and shows that you've acknowledged it's done, just like we do with a printed sheet of paper where we highlight it. This right here shows that you are done, you highlighted it, you put a check mark here. The one that is green is the one that we had a comment on. So we had a question, instructor can click here, and then you could look through the comment history and see if there was any comments made. You can make a new note, converse back and forth. But like I said, don't just write a question here. Get with your instructor and ask that question before you send it in for your grade. So I just wanted to show you how you can do that. This guy right here, where it publishes with those highlights, and you can see the previous markups and everything like that. That is only going to show up if you use this, where you republish markup sheets or republish all sheets. That's the only way we're going to see it, with the original red lines with the highlighter around it. If you were to right now come in here, maybe I made all of those things, and you went to output and export DWIF and did it this way, which is a perfectly fine way to do it as well. You're still going to make a DWIF, but that new DWIF won't have the markups on it. And some instructors prefer to have a crisp, clean version of it, and some instructors prefer to see where their original markups were, so they can just look on there and see that you've made the changes they needed. So your instructor will let you know which way they prefer, but just a couple of ways that you can do it. So you can see here, AutoCAD can do a PDF, but doing it as a DWIF is actually a lot more powerful. It's a really great way to communicate with while you're in school, to communicate back and forth and submit your projects electronically with your instructor and back and forth. But if you were working in a job environment, imagine how much paper you're going to save, where you can just send, you don't have to print out 10 sheets for that one project. You just make one 10-page DWIF, send it off, they mark it up electronically, send it back to you. This is actually a really great way for companies to streamline their red lines and save money in the process. So hopefully that helped, and I wish you luck. Good luck with your online courses and submitting your projects. Thanks.